Heartwarming sacrifice. Diner owner gave his last meal to an elderly couple. Discover the incredible moments that followed. Miguel stood behind the counter of his beloved diner, the heart of Cedar Grove, feeling the weight of the world on his shoulders. It was a rainy evening, and the neon sign flickered like a weak heartbeat, mirroring the pulse of the community that gathered there, a pulse that was fading. The once bustling diner, filled with laughter and the clattering of plates, now echoed with silence. His calloused hands ran over the meager receipts, each one a reminder of patrons who had been replaced by empty seats. As he readied to close up, the door creaked open. In stepped the Johnsons, a couple whose love had woven itself into the very fabric of the diner. They shuffled toward him, hands trembling as they fumbled for the last coins in their pockets. Their faces, etched with the wrinkles of time and stories untold, wore expressions of hesitation. This wasn't just a meal for them, it was a stroll down memory lane. One of their first dates had been right here. Miguel could see the sadness hiding behind their eyes as they ordered. "Just coffee and a slice of pie, please," Mr. Johnson said, his voice cracking like the wood of the diner's long table. But Miguel couldn't let their nostalgia be limited to a slice of pie. He prepared his last special, a hearty, handmade meatloaf, surrounded by mashed potatoes and tender green beans. As he placed the steaming plate in front of them, he insisted, "Tonight, it's on me." Their eyes widened, a flicker of disbelief transforming into pure joy. The moment they took a bite, the diner filled with laughter and stories of yesteryears. Miguel could feel the warmth radiating from their table, and for just a moment, the diner felt alive again. Word of his generosity spread like wildfire through Cedar Grove. While some praised his kindness, others debated harshly about the cost of his sacrifice. Could he afford such gestures when survival was at stake? The diner, a once proud symbol of community connection, now became a battleground of opinions. As financial strain mounted, Miguel struggled with his own demons. He had sacrificed so much familial ties, dreams deferred, yet he found solace in the laughter echoing from the Johnsons. Each chuckle reinforced the diner's importance in their lives. However, uncertainty loomed like dark clouds overhead. What if his sacrifices weren't enough? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The community began to unite, fueled by nostalgia and love for the diner. Old faces emerged, each one contributing memories of meals and friendships forged within these walls. Yet, as Miguel stepped back to view the fundraising event designed to save his diner, the pressure mounted inside him like rising floodwaters. Could his fleeting hope turn into something tangible? Just as he began to feel a spark of possibility, a shocking letter arrived, bringing with it news that threatened to change everything. Would the community rise to defend Miguel and the last bastion of shared memories in Cedar Grove, or would this be the moment they lost their anchor? The winds of change were blowing, but would they stand together against it or watch the diner fade into the storm? The sun was barely creeping through the clouds the day after the letter arrived, but the atmosphere in Cedar Grove felt electric. News of Miguel's plight had spread quickly, igniting a flame of determination within the community. The local radio station announced a fundraiser, urging everyone to gather at the diner for an evening of food, fun, and memories. As Miguel prepared for the event, he aimed to revive not just the diner but the spirit it encapsulated. The aroma of frying bacon and brewing coffee filled the air, a comforting reminder of the bustle of better days. Each sizzle seemed to call out to those who had grown up with this diner at the center of their lives. Miguel glanced out the window, his heart swelling at the sight of familiar faces appearing at the door, friends, neighbors, even old customers who hadn't set foot inside in years. He even spotted Sarah, a high school friend who now lived miles away but was back in town for the weekend. She stepped in with a beaming smile, her laughter dancing through the room as she hugged Miguel tightly. "I wouldn't miss this for the world." she exclaimed, her excitement infectious. As the clock crept closer to the event's start time, Miguel felt the weight on his shoulders shift. The funds he had hoped to raise were still a dream, but the outpouring of love filled him with new hope. People began sharing their stories the first time they tasted Miguel's famous pancakes, the friendly competitions at the jukebox, the countless late-night discussions over coffee that had turned into lifelong friendships. When the event kicked off, it was as though the diner pulsed with newfound life. Tables were filled, and laughter rang out loud and clear. Music played from an old jukebox, memories echoing from the past into the present. Guests took turns sharing their favorite diner moments, the laughter growing louder with each tale. Yet amid the joyous atmosphere, Miguel felt a chill run down his spine whenever he thought about the letter. He couldn't shake the worry that the threat looming over the diner would shatter this fragile moment of joy. He forced himself to focus on the faces around him, the joy in their eyes lifting his spirit. It was a reminder of why he put so much on the line to keep this place alive. As the evening wore on, someone called for a toast. Cups clinked, voices filled with camaraderie resonated, and Miguel stood at the center, overwhelmed by gratitude. To memories and new beginnings. Someone shouted, and cheers erupted, but just then, as Miguel was about to join in, the door swung open with a loud bang. A figure stepped in a shadow that cast doubt over the night. It was the landlord, a man known for being tough and uncompromising. The room abruptly quieted. Sensing the tension, he walked straight to Miguel, concern written all over his face. "Can we talk?" he said, his voice low, pulling Miguel aside. What could he possibly want now? Miguel's heart raced. Anxiety gripped him tighter than ever, knuckles turning white against the countertop. Would this interaction be an end to the newfound hope, or could it unravel something he'd never considered? The crowd watched, breaths held, as the two figures stepped into a corner. Their words were too low to hear, but the tension in the air was palpable. What news could change everything once more? Would this conversation bring more heartache or hope? Miguel felt the weight of every gaze on him as he turned, his heart pounding faster with each step taken away from the warmth of the crowd. He could hear the muffled sounds of laughter and music fading behind him, replaced by the heavy silence forming around him and the landlord. "What is going on?" he asked quietly, trying to read the man's expression. The landlord, Gerald, shifted his weight, his brows drawn tight. "Listen, Miguel. I saw how many folks showed up tonight. It's good to see the community backing you." But he paused, glancing back as if worried someone might overhear. "But I'm still putting the property up for sale. I can't keep delaying it." Miguel's stomach dropped. Chills swept through him at the thought of losing this place, where memories were woven into its very walls. "You can't just sell it out from under us, Gerald. We're trying to build something here." Gerald sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. "I know you are. I really do. But the bank is breathing down my neck. My hands are tied." Miguel took a deep breath, the taste of copper filling his mouth. "There has to be something I can do. Something that satisfies you but also keeps the diner alive." He noticed Gerald's eyes darting to the door, the buzz of the evening celebration intoxicating but increasingly distant. "You could propose a partnership. A way to buy some time. Show you're serious and have the community backing. You want me to take that risk?" Miguel felt the weight of possibility pressing down on him, the suffocating mix of hope and fear dancing in his chest. If he didn't act, the diner would crumble. "Yes. But it can be dangerous. If it fails." Gerald's voice trailed off. "If it fails, then I fail with it," Miguel replied, a fire igniting inside him. "But if I don't try, then I've already lost." Gerald nodded slowly, the tension easing a fraction. "Okay. You've got guts. Use that fire. Just think it through that you're going to need everyone behind you." Miguel straightened his posture, determination flooding back. "I'll figure it out. We can save this diner together." As they stepped away from the corner, he heard laughter rise again, the sound wrapping around him like a warm embrace. This was what the diner meant to people. It was not just bricks and mortar, it was years of life, love, and memories intertwined. With a renewed spirit, Miguel returned to the jubilant crowd. The stories were still flowing, smiles illuminating the faces he cherished. Sarah caught his eye, her gaze sparkling. He felt a warmth blanket over his worries, but a nagging voice lingered at the back of his mind. As the night rolled on, he noticed a few frowns that didn't match the happiness around them, a few older patrons staring off as if in a trance, weighed down by their own burdens. He paused for a moment, their shadows hovering in his mind. That I am the center of it all. Miguel raised his glass again, a new resolve flooding through him. To our diner. May it thrive for many more years, sharing happiness with all of us. The cheers rang out once more, but he sensed the urgent question lingering in the air. Could he really harness the community's spirit to enact change, or was it all just a fleeting hope? Just then, one of the elderly patrons, Mrs. Thompson, took a step forward, a tear glistening in her eye. Miguel, do you remember when you saved my husband's life in here? Every eye turned to Mrs. Thompson, and Miguel felt the room pulse with anticipation. What would she reveal? What part of their shared past could unlock another door? Of course, I remember, Miguel said softly, locking his eyes onto Mrs. Thompson's. The room, a cozy hub of laughter and chatter just moments ago, now felt heavy with the weight of memories unfolding. She took a shaky breath, her voice steadying. It was a night like this, filled with joy, but we were struggling. My husband, he wasn't he himself. We almost lost him that night. But you saw us. You gave him your last bowl of soup. You didn't even know us then, but you just did it. The room hushed, curiosity giving way to the warmth of a shared memory. Miguel could feel the collective breath of the crowd as they leaned in, eager to hear what would come next. And that meal? She continued, her eyes brimming with emotion. It wasn't just sustenance. It was hope. It reminded us that we weren't alone. That someone cared. Miguel's chest swelled with a sense of purpose. The diner wasn't just a building, it was a lifeline, a cradle of connections. Mrs. Thompson, I want to keep providing that, for everyone. The words flowed from him, filled with sincerity and longing. I want us to be there for each other like we were back then. A murmur swept through the crowd, an electric current igniting sparks of memory and affection. It was a testament to how one act of kindness could ripple through a community. Mrs. Thompson, he pressed on, if I can gather everyone here to invest in this place, to believe in it like you did, we can make it thrive. We have to show Gerald and the bank that this diner is worth saving. It's worth fighting for. She nodded slowly, wiping a tear from her cheek. You're right, Miguel. You've already shown us the power of community with your kindness. Now, you're asking us to return that favor. Let us help. Cheers erupted again, echoing off the walls lined with years of stories. Miguel could feel a sea of support beginning to swell around him, each person a wave ready to join this journey. Sarah stepped forward, her voice rising above the rest, let us make it happen. We all have something to contribute. As enthusiasm spread like wildfire, Miguel felt hope wrap around him like a warm blanket against the chill of uncertainty. He shared a look with Gerald, who stood observing the scene unfold, his brow unknitting. There was something stirring in that moment, the tension of desperation crossed with sparkles of hope. Miguel, Sarah said, breaking through his thoughts. What do we need to do? Let us make a plan. We'll organize a fundraiser, a community event, whatever it takes. Yes. A voice called from the back, quickly followed by others chipping in with ideas. We could host a bake sale. A talent show. Even a night of storytelling. Miguel felt the energy bubble within him. Each suggestion filled him with fuel, and he knew he had the community behind him. But still, a question loomed. Would it be enough? Just as he began to feel the momentum, a familiar figure stepped quietly into the doorway, his mother, Amelia, her heart-shaped face etched with lines of concern. She had always been his anchor. "Miguel," she called, piercing through the fervor, "can I speak with you?" The laughter faded momentarily, curiosity and apprehension bubbling up again. He managed a nod and stepped away from the group, but every footfall echoed with uncertainty. "What is it, Mom?" he asked, his heart racing. Her expression was serious, her voice dropping to a whisper, the crowd's excitement fading into a distant hum. "I overheard something tonight that concerns me. There's more at stake with Gerald than just the diner. It's about who else has their sights on this land." His gut twisted. "What do you mean?" Before she could reply, a sudden burst of laughter rang out from the crowd, but Miguel was stuck, the question hanging like a thread in the air. What hidden forces lingered in the shadows, threatening not only the diner but the soul of their community? "Mom, please," Miguel urged, his voice barely above a whisper as the noise from the gathering faded around them. "Who else is involved?" Amelia glanced over her shoulder, as if fearful that someone might be listening. "It's not just about Gerald wanting to take the diner from you. I overheard him talking about selling the land for a new development. They plan to tear it down and build something large and shiny, a strip mall, maybe even condos." Her voice trembled, her concern spilling over like a dam giving way. Miguel felt his heart drop. The diner held so much history, so many memories. This was the heart of their community. But we can't let that happen." His mind raced, assembling the pieces of the puzzle falling into place. "Everything we just talked about, it was all for nothing." Amelia shook her head, her brow furrowed. "No, it's more important than ever now. You need to rally the town. It's not just a diner, it's the connection everyone has here, people's livelihoods, their stories. This is bigger than just us." He turned back to the crowd, seeing renewed energy flowing in their discussions. But doubt wormed its way into his thoughts. What if they didn't have enough support? What if the community's love for the diner wasn't enough to stop development? "Will you help me?" he asked his mother softly, his heart heavy. "Of course, dear," Amelia replied, placing a comforting hand on his arm. "But we also need to think about what this means and how we can mobilize everyone. We need to bring them together quickly." Nodding, Miguel stepped back into the fray, his spirit ignited by his mother's support. "Hey everyone!" he shouted, drawing their attention. He felt all eyes on him, the weight of their hopes and dreams colliding with the reality he now faced. "We need to do more than just save this diner. We need to save this community. Gerald and whoever is backing him think they can just come in and take what we've built. But this place is ours." The fire in his voice drew cheers and shouts from the crowd. "Let us fight for it," Sarah exclaimed, her eyes shining with determination. "What's next then?" someone else asked, the question echoed in the nodding heads surrounding Miguel. "We'll need to organize a town meeting," he began, confident words climbing over his fear. "We need to contact local news, get everyone involved. This land and what it represents is worth fighting for. That means spreading awareness and mobilizing every single person who cares about this diner." Excited voices filled the room. Ideas buzzed as they all began tossing around suggestions. Miguel felt the energy transform, lifting him up like a wave. Between the fears and the excitement, he could see something brighter on the horizon, but just as the moment felt like it was spiraling toward a hopeful direction, Miguel's phone buzzed in his pocket. Pulling it out, he saw a message flash across the screen. It was a notification from a local news site, major developer interested in prime diner site plans unfolding soon. His stomach dropped. They were racing against time. "Miguel!" His mother called over the noise, her eyes wide with concern. "What is it?" He couldn't hide the urgency now. Time was slipping away. "We need to act fast." Determined resolve settled in Miguel's heart, but dread nipped at the edges of his confidence. He looked around at the faces, each one ignited with newfound hope, but there was an unseen darkness creeping closer. What other challenges lay ahead? As he glanced back at the message on his phone, a question churned within him. Were they prepared for the fight that was coming? Miguel took a deep breath, steeling himself for the task ahead. The energy in the room pulsed like a living thing, a mix of anxiety and urgency that filled him with a sense of purpose. Everyone was looking to him for direction, but doubt still lingered. "Okay, we need a plan," he said, forcing the tremor from his voice. "We can't just sit back and wait for them to make their move." Alan, a mechanic from down the street, stepped forward. "What if we set up a protest? We can stand outside the diner with signs, let people know what's happening." "That's a start," Miguel replied, nodding. "But we need to reach out to more than just our regulars. We need everyone who cares about this community. We'll put together flyers, social media posts, whatever we can to get the word out." As they brainstormed ideas, the atmosphere shifted to one of fierce determination. Each suggestion fired conversations, each face lit with a passionate resolve. Miguel's heart raced as he felt the collective heartbeat of his community. They were ready to fight, and he knew he had to be the one to lead them. Amelia stepped up beside him. "We could also host a community dinner, right here at the diner. Invite everyone. Make it a celebration of what we stand for, the connections we've built." Miguel's eyes sparkled. "Yes. We can share stories, remind everyone why the diner matters. The more people engage, the more support we can gather." "Count me in," chimed Marisol, a waitress who had been there almost as long as Miguel could remember. "Let's create something special, like a memory wall. People can post their favorite moments, photos, everything this place means." As the ideas flowed, Miguel felt a warmth swell within him. His mother, alongside a group of friends, started jotting down every suggestion, capturing their collective fire. But deep in his gut, that initial dread still churned. Who would really come? Would it be enough? There was so much at stake, more than just bricks and mortar. It was about the life woven into every square inch of the diner. As they planned, time felt like a relentless enemy. Each minute wasted could be another step closer to losing everything. Miguel's eyes caught the clock, and he pushed aside the creeping worry. "Let's finalize the dinner for this Friday. We'll give ourselves just a few days to pull this off, and we'll invite the entire town." Cheers erupted, and the noise swelled around him like thunder. Miguel smiled through his tension, buoyed by the enthusiasm of his friends and neighbors, yet it was a bittersweet reminder of what could slip through their fingers. Later that evening, he stood alone for a moment, gazing at the neon lights of the diner flickering against the oncoming dusk. It should have felt comforting, but instead, it filled him with apprehension. He texted a few friends to finalize details for the gathering, but his fingers hovered over the screen as he recalled the message about the development. The stakes were rising. Suddenly, the door swung open, and Sarah rushed in, breathless. "You're not going to believe this. I just spoke to Mr. Thompson. He's willing to help fund the event. He thinks others will join too if we show enough support." Hope exploded within Miguel like fireworks in the night sky. "That's incredible. We can really make this happen." But as he reveled in this moment of potential, the reality loomed larger than ever. What if it all fell apart? What if Mr. Thompson couldn't rally others? With flashing lights illuminating the diner and its cozy embrace, Miguel felt the weight of his community's dreams resting upon his shoulders. They weren't just asking for his courage, they were relying on it. The gathering would be their first stand. But could a dinner really change anything? Would it awaken an unyielding spirit in the town? As the night deepened, an unexpected knock echoed softly against the diner door, pulling Miguel from his thoughts. Who could it be? What new twists awaited them at this critical crossroads? Miguel's heart raced as he approached the door. The unexpected knock had pulled him from his contemplation, and uncertainty buzzed in his chest. Could this be another supporter or someone with skeptical news? He hesitated, then opened the door wide. Standing there, illuminated by the warm glow of the diner's neon light, was Mrs. Rodriguez, an elderly woman whose presence had become a comforting constant in the diner over the years. Her weathered face was lined with worry, and her frail hands trembled slightly. Mrs. Rodriguez, he said with a sense of relief, what brings you here at this hour? She looked past him into the diner, her eyes glimmering with nostalgia. I came to see how I could help, Miguel. I overheard about your plans for the dinner, and I want to take part. Her voice was firm, yet there was an underlying tremor that Miguel recognized. The diner wasn't just a place for meals, it was a gathering spot where dreams were shared and friendships blossomed. Yet, he also knew that for many, including Mrs. Rodriguez, the place represented so much more. It was a lifeline. Of course, we love your help. Miguel exclaimed. We could use all hands on deck. Every story, every sign, it all matters. She nodded appreciatively, her voice softening. This diner has given me so much over the years. It's where I felt at home after losing my husband. I want to do anything I can to keep it alive. Inside, Miguel squirmed at the thought of losing what meant so much to all of them. We need to show everyone how important this community is, he said, trying to muster the resolve they all needed. And we will. Mrs. Rodriguez reached for his hand, squeezing it tightly. But you need to take care of yourself too, Miguel. You can't carry this all on your shoulders. Or you might break. Her words struck a chord deep within him. The pressure weighed heavily, tightening the chest as he nodded. I know. Just before he could finish, the diner door swung open again, this time revealing a group of familiar faces, Alan, Amelia, and Marisol. They had brought along a collection of colorful markers and poster boards for their memories wall. Let us get started. Alan cheered as he entered, instantly lifting the atmosphere. The group followed, filling the diner with quick chatter and laughter as they spread their supplies across a nearby table. The tension eased a bit and Miguel felt a wave of gratitude wash over him for these people who stood firmly at his side. They were ready to channel their emotions into something tangible. Miguel turned back to Mrs. Rodriguez and smiled. Maybe we can create a special spot just for your stories and memories. It would mean a lot to everyone. Tears sparkled in her eyes. Oh, Miguel, that would touch my heart. Thank you. As the night wore on, voices rose and fell, and conversations melded into a symphony of hope and camaraderie. Memories were shared, laughter echoed like music, and for the first time in a while, Miguel felt something other than dread. It felt like they were really building something, piece by piece, yet, just as he began to feel buoyed by the moment, fear crept in again. What if the support they built tonight wasn't enough? Would Friday be the moment they helped their diner rise, or would it be the day their dreams crumbled faster than he could hold on? Suddenly, Alan's phone buzzed loudly, cutting through the ambience. He froze, staring at the screen with a deep frown. You guys, this might be bad news. With a lump in his throat, Miguel leaned closer, anxiety clawing at him again. What did this mean for their plans? And what would happen when the truths they were trying to protect came crashing down around them? Alan's face paled further as he read the message aloud. It's the bank. They want a meeting. Tomorrow morning. If we don't make the debt payment by Friday, they... Miguel's heart dropped. The shadows in the diner felt a shade darker, the laughter fading like a memory. It was as if the breath had been knocked out of them, slowly transitioning their moment of hope into a looming darkness. What do they want to talk about? Amelia's voice trembled, barely above a whisper. Options, Alan replied, anger flickering in his eyes. Or rather, it seems like they want to discuss their next steps. Not like they're giving us a choice. In that moment, Miguel took a deep breath, tension tightening in his chest. The urgency of the situation hung like a weight in the air. They all poured their hearts into this diner. It wasn't just brick and mortar, it was a sanctuary, a place of memories, their memories. Okay, let us think this through, Miguel said, willing to cling to hope like the last shreds of daylight. This is our diner, our home. We can't let them just take it. What can we do right now? Marisol stepped forward, her brows furrowed with determination. What if we start a fundraising campaign? We could reach out to the community, show them what this place means to us all. Yes. We can share our stories. We can get testimonials from others who love this diner, Amelia chimed in, her enthusiasm beginning to overpower the gloom. Miguel felt a swelling of warmth in his chest, a spark igniting within him. Let us organize a pop-up event tomorrow. An evening filled with music, food, and memories. We can invite everyone who cares. They need to see the spirit of what we're protecting. Mrs. Rodriguez's eyes lit up, and her hands clapped together. I can make my famous empanadas. Everyone loves them. It'll remind them of home. The rest of the room buzzed with energy as ideas flowed like coffee from the pot: names for the event, decorations, who to invite, how to spread the word. They were quick, efficient, the calamity of the bank story dimming behind the shimmering backbone of their goal. Suddenly, Miguel's phone vibrated again, breaking the collective momentum. He glanced quickly at the screen. It was a message from his mother. His heart sank. It was about the family house. The repairs were piling up, more than he anticipated. His veins felt leaden. Juggling the diner, his family issues, and now the looming threat from the bank felt like holding a fiery torch with too few hands. But Mrs. Rodriguez's voice broke through his thoughts. Miguel? He looked up, seeing the concern in her eyes. Are you all right? You don't have to shoulder everything alone. He mustered a smile, though it felt shaky. Of course, just a lot going on. I'll figure it out. We all will. As the conversation resumed, a part of him lingered on the edge of despair. Could they really turn this tide? Would this event bring everyone together, or was it just another flimsy bandage on a deeper wound? The layers of emotion were starting to peel back, revealing the raw nerves of vulnerability beneath. Tomorrow's pop-up was not just an act of defiance, it was a signal of hope they desperately needed. The enthusiasm built in the room was infectious. Each laughter, every smile was a reminder of why they had to fight. Then, as they kept bustling about their plans, the thought nagged at Miguel: was he putting too much pressure on himself again? Would this be enough to hold the community together? He wanted to believe it would. He needed to keep the hope alive. Just as the discussion reached a fever pitch, a loud burst of static crackled through the diner's old speaker, sending a jolt of confusion through the air. Hey, everyone, we've got something big happening on the news tonight that might impact us all. Miguel's stomach twisted with uncertainty. What could be so significant that it interrupted their momentum? What news could shake their fragile peace once more? Hope mixed with anxiety as they all turned their gazes to the radio. Their lives had been hurled into an emotional whirlwind, and now it felt like it was about to spin even faster. What awaited them just around the corner? The sound of the radio crackling grew louder, pulling everyone's attention like a magnet. Miguel held his breath, anticipation and fear swirling together inside him. The news anchor's voice was tense and hurried, each word heavy with urgency. Big developments in the local economy. Beside him, Alan leaned forward, gripping the edge of the table as if it was the only anchor in a swelling sea of worries. Amelia's eyes flicked between the others, her fingers nervously tapping against her thigh. Unexpected rise in unemployment. Miguel clenched his jaw. This couldn't be happening. Were the struggles of the diner and their personal lives about to collide with something bigger? The whispers of fear started to ripple through the group. Shoo! Marisol hushed them, intensity radiating from her. Let us just listen. The announcer's voice cut through the tension. We're getting reports that a beloved local diner, Café Solaris, is facing severe financial difficulties. The room went silent. Life outside the diner felt like it was moving in slow motion, while the words bounced around them in rapid speed. It's gotten attention. People are talking about how vital these communal spaces are, especially during tough times. They're asking for stories how businesses like this one impact their patrons. Their families' hope flickered, and Miguel could feel something shift in the air. He glanced at Amelia, whose lips parted in a quiet "oh." The realization that they weren't alone in their battle ignited a sense of urgency in him. The announcer continued. We encourage everyone who loves their local establishments to reach out and support them. This might just be the spark our community needs to rally together." Alan turned to Miguel, his eyes brightening. "We need to get our story out too. This isn't just about the diner, it's about us, our memories. That's what we'll focus on at the event tomorrow. This is our chance to show everyone how much it means to us." "Exactly. We need to spread the word right now." Miguel felt the adrenaline pumping through him. While they started bouncing ideas off each other, Miguel's got twisted at the thought of his family's house again. How could all of this possibly work when he felt stretched so thin? The weight of two worlds pressed down on him, but as he watched the others get excited, a glimmer of hope ignited in his chest again. "We can ask everyone to share stories about what this place means to them," Miguel suggested, his voice raised above the noise of the diner. "And we can set up a live stream. People can join us online. They can share their love for the diner with their families and friends out of town." Marisol nodded vigorously. "Yes. We can make it a digital event. Who knows, maybe someone out there will want to help." As they set into a flurry of planning, a thought emerged at the back of Miguel's mind: what if this really was their moment? The flicker of hesitance transformed into a blaze of determination, but as encouraging as the news was, another thought nagged at him. What if it wasn't enough? What if even their best efforts wouldn't save them in the end? His heart pounded, caught between the hope that ignited them and the shadows looming outside. Would their community show up? Could they truly rise up against this storm, or would it all be for nothing? Then suddenly, the radio announced another update, turning the atmosphere electric once more. A charity event is being organized by local businesses tonight, focusing on community support and resilience. They're inviting all local establishments to participate. Miguel's heart raced at the prospect of an evening where they could display their love for each other and their diner. Could this be the lifeline they'd been searching for? Just as they began to gather their momentum, Miguel's phone buzzed again, another message from home. He glanced down, dread pooling in his stomach as he saw his mother's name flashing on the screen. What now? Would that news demand more from him than he could give? As he caught the anxious gazes of his friends, he felt the pressure mounting. Hope, intertwined with fear, a tightrope that hung precariously over an uncertain future. What additional challenges awaited him as they went into this pivotal night? Would he be able to hold all of it together before everything might come crashing down? Miguel stood at the edge of the diner, heart racing as the evening approached. The air buzzed with anticipation and hope, the flickering neon sign casting a warm glow on faces filled with determination. They had spent the day planning, gathering supplies, and pouring their hearts into their cause. It wasn't just about the diner anymore, it was about family, connection, and community rising to meet every challenge ahead. As the clock struck 6, the doors swung open. One by one, people from Cedar Grove flowed in: the Johnsons, Sarah, Mrs. Rodriguez, and others whose faces Miguel knew by heart. The warm embrace of nostalgia wrapped around them like a cozy blanket. Laughter filled the air, washing away the worries that had lingered for days. "Look at this place!" Sarah exclaimed, her eyes bright as she took in the decorations. They had set up a memory wall adorned with photos and handwritten notes sharing cherished moments. Miguel could feel his heart swell with gratitude. Amelia gave him a supportive smile from behind the counter as she poured coffee. "You got this, Miguel. Just remember what this place means to everyone." His gaze caught Mrs. Thompson, standing proudly, with a handful of stories she was eager to share. "Tonight is about the love we've built here," she called out, her voice steady. "We'll show everyone how much this diner means to us, and how much we are willing to fight for it." With a nod, Miguel stepped up to the microphone they had borrowed from the local music shop. "Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight." His voice wavered slightly but gained strength with every word. "We're not just here for a meal, we're here to celebrate our community. To stand together for what matters." Cheers erupted, and he scanned the room. Every face beamed with encouragement, as if the weight of the world was shared in that moment. Fear had transformed into fire, fueling their resolve. Music filled the air and soon, people started to share their stories old and young, each memory a thread weaving them closer. There were tales of first dates, family gatherings, and connections that had sparked over a cup of coffee. Laughter blended with tears, mixing into a beautiful tapestry of community love. As Miguel listened, he felt the shadows of doubt begin to lighten. This was what the diner had always been about, more than just food. It was a sanctuary, a heartbeat for Cedar Grove. Then, right when the atmosphere felt magic, Alan stood up, bringing attention back to the moment. "We need to remind everyone outside what they might lose." He raised his voice to amplify urgency. "This diner is a symbol of our ties, and we need our town to understand that." Nods of agreement shot across the crowd. The momentum moved rapidly, supported by each suggestion tossed into the air. Before he knew it, plans for a protest rally the following week sprang to life. News spread like wildfire, igniting enthusiasm that wrapped around Miguel and burned away his fears, yet, that familiar knot twisted back in his stomach as he recalled the shadows lurking over this night, the looming threat from the bank and the mysterious developers. They couldn't afford to lose momentum. As if sensing his worry, Mrs. Rodriguez stepped up beside him again, her kind eyes locked onto his. "Don't forget, Miguel," she said softly, "you're not alone in this. We're all here for you." He took a deep breath, drawing strength from the camaraderie enveloping him. "You're right. This is about all of us." And together, they forged ahead, each person committed to making their voices heard. The event unfolded into an unforgettable night, filled with heartfelt moments and tearful joy as they poured their love into the community. Outside, flickering candlelight danced against the windowpanes as they all gathered for a group photo, arms draped around each other. "Together!" Miguel shouted, a radiant smile lighting up his face. The flash of the camera captured not just a moment but the essence of their shared spirit. The evening lingered like a dream as stories flowed, and hope grew stronger. Just as they embraced into a final embrace, the door opened, letting in a gust of wind. Miguel's heart thudded in anticipation as Gerald, the landlord, hesitated in the doorway. Silence enveloped the room as all eyes turned uncertainly toward him. "Can I join?" Gerald asked, his tone softer than before. "I've been watching this community come together tonight, and I want you to know." Miguel's heart raced. Was this the moment? Would it end well? "I've decided to talk to the bank about a better deal," Gerald continued, the corners of his lips twitching into a hopeful smile. "This place means something, and I've been a fool to think numbers mattered more than community bonds." A ripple of disbelief spread through the crowd, then exploded into cheers. Miguel felt tears prick at his eyes, relief washing over him like a wave. The diner was more than a building, it was the soul of Cedar Grove, and now, it had a chance to thrive. "Let us walk into this future together." Gerald's voice rang out. Miguel beamed with pride as encouragement poured into him, his dreams intertwining with the cheers of the people he loved. At that moment, all felt right. Together, they had transformed despair into hope, silence into laughter, and fear into unified strength. Miguel knew, deep down in his heart, that this diner would not just survive, it would flourish, renewed by the very love that had always sustained it. As the crowd celebrated around him, Miguel realized that they were more than a community, they were family. And as they embraced this new beginning, he knew without a doubt they would face whatever came next side by side. This was just the start, the beginning of something extraordinary. Don't let this moment slip away. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, because your support matters more than you know. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this powerful ending, it means the world to us, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Together, we can spread hope far and wide. You need to support the channel through these actions, because only true fans understand their importance. Don't wait, not even one more second.